Yo, what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back. That's right, I am back, and I am welcoming you to another edition of the Friday Night Chop Session with Stormybman. That's right, we are here for episode number 68, and we're calling this one Rolling Out the C League, not B League, the C League. And we'll get into it. Want to welcome everybody that's out there. Hope you've had a wonderful week. If not wonderful, it's about as good as it could be, because we all are dealing with something in these difficult times. But we come here on the Friday Night Chop Session to chop it up about the sport of boxing, an escape and an outlet, a form of entertainment for us to get away from the daily grind of what's happening out here. So, welcome, my people, welcome. And we're going to talk about boxing this evening. I want to welcome Brother Cadillac Red from Supreme Beast Boxing Talk here with me. He's here with me this evening. What's going on with you, brother? How you doing this evening?
Shit, what's happening with you, OG? You can't call it, man. I'm over here chilling, man.
Yeah, man. We out here, man, and we're gonna make the most of what we can. And I hope that my brother Boxing Conversation with Reggie Owens can get in here with us. Sometimes he has to work a little bit late and he runs, but if he can be here, he will be here. But I'm glad to have you with us this evening, man. I had a chance to listen to your interviews this week and everything, and I'm telling you, man, you brothers are entertaining over there with what you're doing, man. I really enjoy what you got going on your channel, man. I like you guys' style.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. We just trying to hold the line, man. We trying to hold the line and be a part of the machine.
Yeah. Well, keep doing what you're doing, man. And like I said before, any way that I can help, I love to help out, We are a community out here. The fact that we show unity and we support one another with the channels and everything, it goes a long way toward helping our listening and viewing audience have a full rounded table of content to choose and select from and be a part of. So that's all positive stuff right there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate you, you know what I'm saying, helping me out through the ranks and everything as we all try to, you know what I'm saying, get the channel, grow the channel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Matter of fact, while we got you right here early on, is there anything that you guys have coming up that the listeners can be looking forward to? You know, anything special you got on the horizon? I know that interview with Mr. Ross, that was some good stuff, but you might have something else in the fire, maybe.
Nah, we don't have another interview lined up yet. We plan on putting both part 1 and part 2 of the interview together and put that out as a whole. And of course, you know, we got the show. We stay brewing up stuff for the show. We got into it real deep as far as reparations and should we take money or should we leave if they give us land. I think we're going to continue that topic a little bit on the next episode.
Yes. Let me say something about that part about having land. If you go somewhere where you're going to have, you know, one of the things that we will definitely have to have is security. You know, security is vital, being able to protect self. And I mean protect self in line of how nations protect self. You know, you have to have military, you have to have weaponry. You know what I mean? You can't have it where somebody could just come in there and take it from you again or take it over or whatever, or even obliterate you. You know?
Yeah.
You got to be able to obliterate back. So
that was like the main thing we were saying. If we gonna leave and if they give us a piece of land, I want it to be protected like how they do Israel. You know what I'm saying? They gave them that land and they make sure that no one attacks them. They look at that land just like how it's United States or something. You think so? I would expect the same thing if they were to give us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we'll be able to speak about those things further in the future as greater platforms than mine come together for that kind of conversation. But for right now, we'll peel back and just get back into rolling out this C League. And I don't know that I had a chance to get to talk to you about that meaning of that title. But you know, when Stormybman come up with his titles, they always are multi-level subject matter. So for starters, rolling out the C League is a continuation of the conversation that we had initiated on last week's show. And we were talking about getting rid of these early fight cards that they're swamping us with a bunch of nobodies and a bunch of nothing fights, huh? Because if you got the NBA, and I've said this before last week's show, if you've got the NBA and people pay to see the stars, huh? You don't want to see, the B League and minor league players out there, like in the summer leagues. You got the draft picks and guys who are hopeful to try to make a roster and everything. Don't be charging us, telling us that's professional basketball. Because I know for professional basketball to be the Kobe's and the LeBrons and them guys out there doing their thing, which you pay your hard-earned cash to see those guys. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what we're alluding to with that title. And Top Stank has come out rolling with it. And that's why I said rolling out, because they're doubling down every week for the past couple of weeks with multiple fight cards of a bunch of stuff that we don't want to see. Now, we saw Shakur Stevenson come out that first night and do his thing. And of course, with a young prospect like that who has recently become a champion, he has a lot to offer in the sport. And we could see an upside in the future for him. But some of these other guys, what the hell? Then you have veterans like Miguel Burchell that's coming out. And this guy that he's fighting coming up, the dude already's got 13 losses on his record. So, I mean, enough is enough is enough. If you want to bring the sport back with some of the names and the recognition of what the sport is all about by putting those guys out there and let us see them. Now, some of them are like, oh, you know, they're trying to ride it out, wait for the COVID thing and everything. Hey, I don't think the COVID situation is going away anytime soon. But if they're going to make it where people are going to tune into the sport, first of all, you have to give us the personalities of the sport that we want to see. Second, you have to put them in venues and events where they can be protected as best as possible. And thirdly, you have to pay them, because that's what you're shoveling these people out there right now for. You want us to pay to view and pay to see these cars. So, damn it, do it the right way. Stop trying to trim the fat on that and give it to us in the realistic manner of which you can actually have the sport come back. Otherwise, you're just going to have to pull back on that. But I won't say too much right now. I would like to hear your thoughts and feelings on it, Cadillac.
I mean, you kind of like hit the nail right on the head, but in all actuality, I've been saying this. I think the whole pandemic and all that shit kind of like exposed Top Stank. I'm sorry, excuse me, and the other guys, the fake app guys, exposed they already had bad business models, and we was talking about. I remember listening to this before I even had a channel. And guys say that how the Zone got a bad business model, or the way Top Rank handles their business, no good. Then it seems like everything was pressed fast forward on them. They've totally been exposed. When you don't have a big roster, you're going to have those type of fights. If you want to roll out boxing, I'm saying you're going to be the C League. We already knew that that's what you were. You're just trying to hide behind big names, but now them big names, they didn't have anybody to fight for this shit. Like, he was calling on Crawford across the street. Shakur Stevenson was just getting in it, but we haven't been. It's not really people for him to fight. I mean, they got a lot of little guys over there, and they could make big fights, but it's messing up their investment with in-house. So, I mean, it's like, to me, I just seen it being exposed. I seen it beforehand, but pandemic exposed it. Now they trying to come out and they doing what you're supposed to do. I mean, if you got bad work, the people with the good work not out there, somebody gonna buy it. So you might as well put it out there. But at the same time, it is putting a bad lighting, a dim lighting on the sport, because it's not good fights. I mean, the fights that I have seen, first off, there's too many of them. So, you think you're going to catch it, and by the time, you know what I'm saying, it's in the middle of the week, man, you handling business or whatnot, it's over with. The fights that's supposed to be knockouts that they invested in the young guys, they've been getting knocked out. Greer just got knocked out. I seen another cat that they had got knocked out. One of the twin brothers got knocked out. Well, lost real bad. So yeah, it's like they did their hand, and now they played. You thought they played it bad, but now they playing it even worse. So I can agree. Definitely, it's definitely C Leagueish, and I don't know. I mean, but what else? My question to you would be: what else do you think they could have done? The roster that they have, being that their roster was already like trash and C Leagueish from jump.
Well, first of all, I'm glad you asked that question, because I got a ready answer for you. But before I go into it, I just want to take a quick moment and acknowledge our chat. We got some brothers out there listening to us this evening. We got Bruce Goes out there. He says, salute Stormy B-Man family. D Hodges is out. He says, what up, Stormy and chat? LDBC salute family. And Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens, pulling that double duty. He's out there saying, salute my peoples. Scrapbook Boxing is out. He says, what's good, Stormy B in chat? And we got Lawrence Williams out there. He says, what's good? And Jay Good is out. He's saluting myself in the chat. Ronald Finkley, my brother, is out there. He says, salute at Stormy B. Bruce Goes is saluting Ronald Finkley. And then Lawrence Williams is offering. He says, I love these fights. He said, it helps me increase my boxing knowledge. It's been like this. My guy Roy Jones fought Bird and Vinny Paz after a pound-for-pound victory versus James Toney. And then he also says these fights are on par with the undercards before the pandemic, Wilder Fury 2, Plant, and the German guy. Yeah, and my answer to the question that you posed, Cadillac, was that what could they do better? Tell us the damn truth. Remember, when you're straight up and you're honest with what you're bringing, people can't get mad. People can't be upset about the fact that you're presenting them exactly what you say you're presenting them. If ESPN Top Rank Boxing went on to say that, you know, within the Top Rank promotion, it's all about the youth. It's all about the guys who are starting out fresh in their careers. And we sprinkle in some veterans from time to time. However, the whole point of it is this is a launching pad for careers in professional boxing. Boom. Mic drop. I can't get mad at you. You understand? Because you've just let me know what you are promoting, what you are dishing out. And just like when I've gone to the buffet in the past, I don't go to them anymore. But when I used to go to the buffet, though there was a wide expanse out there and a nice spread, you understand? I would always go to my favorites, huh? And there was always some stuff I had never even tried before. My wife be saying, hey, try this. Here, try and put it in my mouth. I'm like, I want what I want. That's why we here, so I can have as much of it as I want. But if you are advertising that this is what you're offering, then I can't be mad at you, huh? But don't tell me boxing is back and you got Bud Crawford over there in the wings, huh? You had Tyson Fury in the wings and a few other names. You know the names and the faces, but you ain't trying to put them out there. What the hell, huh? It's my choice not to watch all of this other stuff. Hell, people don't even fill the arenas until a fight or so before the main event on real professional fight cards, because they don't really care about them dudes. Yeah, boxing purists do, journalists do, the media do, you and I do, because we'll cover it and talk about it on our channels. But you don't want to see them guys out there like that guy they rolled out, Kingston Abbey, or whatever his name is, the heavyweight, used to be a football player, huh? I don't care about that dude, huh? I care about who Fury gonna fight next, and it's supposed to be Wilder. That's what I care about. Who Bud gonna fight next? It's supposed to be somebody that we want to see, not somebody that just shove him out there and put a guy in front of him and say this is his next fight. So, yeah, if they came out and they introduced what they're doing to the public, saying, hey, basically, we're a farm system. I can't get mad at that. What are your thoughts on what I had to say there?
I mean, you right. If you tell me that you the C League, then I can't get mad at you the C League. But y'all know that Bob Arum. not the great Hall of Fame promoter Bob Arum. He not gonna put that. You know what I'm saying? He's not. That's just not in his repertoire, man. To tell the truth, I haven't seen him like the whole truth for nothing yet. So this is like his card. You know what I'm saying? If you let him tell it, this is the greatest show in boxing right now because it's no boxing. Shit. So I don't know, man. You're right. I can't say that you're wrong. You are definitely 100% right. If you tell me that that's what it is, and get mad that you leave it up to the person to buy it or not. But I don't know. That's just not their style, man. I haven't seen that. You know what I'm saying? They not. That's why they viewed the way they viewed though by us. And honestly, like you just said, the fighters that they had, none of them had big fights on the horizon. Only big fight in house I got is Lomachenko and Liz. Other than that, they have to outsource for that. Everybody's holding on to what they got to try to see what they can cook up on their own. So I don't know, man. It didn't look good before this. So even with this shit, I don't know, man. It's just not good at all. But
and see, that's why it's not acceptable because of what you just said. It wasn't good before this when they were doing some mess and we had a feeling about it. But this gives them an excuse to water it down more. You know, did you ever, know that this situation, you grow up in your household, your parents might have a bar, okay? And, they got their drink in the bar, and you say, man, when they left to go out or something like that, you go and sneak a little something, you just want to taste, what they got. And you say, I drank too much of it. So you put a little water in there. Now, you ain't thinking right with your right head because you done took a little sip and everything and you feeling good. But you say, well, I'm going to at least put the water and dilute it back up to the level where it was, how they left it, so they won't know. But as soon as they crack that damn bottle open again, they going to know right away. Huh? You busted. Huh? Because they know what it tastes like, too. And they knew what the taste was long before you got introduced to it. So the thing is, this is what they doing. They diluting the sport. Huh? They done took the cap off, poured some more water down in there, and pushed it out there and told you this is boxing. When the fastest way to put on boxing, truthfully, and bring the fans back readily is to put a real fight on out there. That's the best thing you can do. You doing anything less than that, you're not giving us boxing. And I'll tell you, like someone said in the chat, I think it was Lawrence Williams, he said these are like, undercard type fights, before the pandemic, right? But we were getting a lot of this then. So to bring us back, you're going to continue to give us even more watered down crap? No, man, that's totally unacceptable. This is why you got to bring some heat. I'm not saying every single fight needs to be, classics, with the names of the sport, everybody on one card and stuff like that. But you need to be giving us a real solid card with real solid competition where we could get replenished from what we've missed because we weren't getting much of anything before the pandemic. So if you want me back, bring me back by welcoming me back. Not just saying, hey, it's a party over there, because I don't just go to anybody's party. I don't just come on anybody's scene. And you kind of offend me when you think that just because you put a dress on it and some pumps and some lipstick that it's a beauty. Huh? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And Stormybman eye is a lot sharper than that.
That's big facts.
Yeah, that's what.
I also say that with it being the fights have been like back and forth fights, but it's the roster, man. It's the whole roster. The only thing that ESPN have in a back pocket that's good with this whole little setup that they got, MGM. MGM will take a part of the casino or whatnot and give it to them. They have whole floors called ESPN Bubble and all that other good stuff. That is the only thing I could say that's positive of what they doing. But the fighter's been testing positive for the COVID. So to me, that shows me that right outside that ESPN bubble that they say is so clean is very dirty. It's like the dirtiest part of the bubble right outside. So and you got to enter into it right outside of that bubble. So I don't know, that has been exposed to me as well. I don't know. Like I said, the fact that they got a base does look good for them. But after that, man, everything else is just like you say, man, watered down liquor, man. When your parents when they taste that's an ass whooping.
Exactly. You know what I mean? You know that you could be in that sleep, knocked out from what you had, right? And then that strap come, whap, whap, whap. You, hey, what happened? You've been in my drink.
You know? And you know how it happened? It happened like this, OG. You would drink it on a Saturday when they was out of town. They came back Monday. You know what I'm saying? You think it was going to happen to you Monday. Nah, this happened like Thursday at 11:45, right when you was putting one leg in the bed. You know what I'm saying? You just forgot you drank it.
Hey, man, you know, speaking from experience, right? It's like,
They forgot you drank it, and they showed up. They remembered. They remind you. So I can't, like I said, I don't know, man. It's just a sad situation, but it could be worse. They could be the other guys. The other guys look like they about to go bankrupt. But at least they could say they standing on something.
Yeah.
There's a D out there that don't got, you know what I'm saying? That's about to be it's about to be backyard boxing.
Yeah. You know? And I'll tell you something. If they put it like this, real boxing fans, right? Real boxing fans, and I'm talking about those of us who would turn into these top-ranked cards and everything, right? Dude, if they put YMCA boxing on, if they put, some amateur bouts from the Park District or whatever, people will watch it if they like boxing. So don't give us this thing that you're telling us, this is, boxing is back, when it's really not. Just say, hey, here's some boxing for you, and don't try to sell us that the sport is returning when you've got all of these named fighters. And there's a few of them out there who are not really interested in coming back just yet, okay? And some of them want to come back according to what they're making, the bag, or whatever. There's a lot of variables that is playing into this. And unfortunately, we're living in a time where guys seem to want the reward before they've earned things through merit, through their actions. And it's unfortunate. That's like what kind of messed up professional sports when they started throwing money at these young guys who hadn't learned their craft well or whatever, and you make them rich beyond their years before they have even accomplished anything. And then when you try to suggest to them, hey, why don't you come over here? The competition gonna be a little tight, and we'd like you to perform and bring. Man, I ain't got time for that. I got some honeys lined up. I got to go and pick up my new car. Huh? I'm taking my mom next week to see the new house we building. What? You see? You see what you did? Huh? You don't want your fight dog, and I'm sorry for anybody out there that don't like people who fight dogs, but they've been fighting dogs since man been on this earth. So it's some dog fights going down somewhere right now, so shut up. But your fight dog, if you don't have him mean and ready and ripping ready to go, when he go out there, he going to submit to the other dog's aggression just because he wasn't ready to go. Huh? It's the same principle here. And people are savages. We like train wrecks. So guess what? We want to see mix-ups and everything like that. So how you do it? You hold it back a little bit. You hold that back. You don't make the cat fat. Then the mice and the rats run all around in front of him, and he just sitting there looking at them go back and forth across the floor like this. Because you made him fat. But you keep him a little lean, and the first eye shot that he think he saw a flash of a mouse or something, he up and he going to check it out. You know what I'm saying? It's the whole yin and yang of life, man. This is really true. These examples and analogies and metaphors I give, it's like it's right there in front of you. That's why some of us, we could get on these platforms and we could speak like we speak about this. It's not that we don't like what they're showing us. It is the fact that they're pushing it out in front of you, saying this is boxing, when that's boxing incomplete. If you bring, what has it been? It's been a month now, right? Basically, when you talk about 2 weeks in with a week in between or something like that, let's just say for the month of June, they came in sticking their feet in the water, testing the temperature. But by July, we need to be rolling. We need to see somebody. Seriously. And that's professional boxing. It's not just top rank. It's whatever they're putting out there. Somebody is going to have to cross the line and step on out there. Now, I know there are fighters who want to get back and are ready and chomping at the bit. So let them be the ones. But understand, if we get one good matchup, we in there. Because the people going to bite on that. And the other guy sitting back going to be like, oh, the fans want, hey, I better step up. But all of that social media banter back and forth, to hell with that, man. To hell with that. I don't care about those guys. I ain't following them on Instagram, on Facebook, and all of that stuff. I follow them when they on my TV. Huh? I can be Instagram and Facebook with my loved ones and my colleagues and my friends and whatever. That's what that could be for. We don't care about those dudes in their personal lives. I don't care about what they drive, where they live, how they dress, and all of that foolishness. I care about when they in that gym getting ready for the next match and the match itself when it comes about. I'm telling you, people got it all mixed up. Priorities and everything, man.
Yeah, I think if you don't earn it, then you respect it. That's the problem. I do agree with that. When the fighters just get this easy contracts, and no matter who they fight, they're getting paid a certain amount, no matter what. It leads to foolishness like stuff that Canelo be on or the Bud be on, because it's that guaranteed money. It don't matter. I'm getting $30 million for whoever I fight. They give me the easiest fight. What are we talking about? That's just like. But if he had to earn it like how he was doing beforehand, you're gonna get tough fights or fights that's worthy of your attention and money. When they don't give you the good, when they get the money already beforehand, why would they give you the goods? They already got paid. It's not like they're gonna get paid more. So, I mean, you gotta. I always say, you know what I'm saying, you gotta have somebody earn it, man. When you earn it, you respect it. If you don't earn it, then it's gonna be a shit show for sure.
Yeah, because I know if my job guaranteed me my money up front, that don't mean I'm gonna be there. Shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like my money is in the bank. It's like what I gotta show up on the regular for. I show up when I feel like it. And if they change the terms, it'd be like, well, Stormy, you got to be here, man, in order to get this guarantee. Oh, you didn't say that at first. Huh? So that's how that works. But I'm telling you, there's a reason that they used to put the carrot before the horse to make him go down the road. Huh? They keep it just out of reach and he's walking toward it. He pulling the wagon. Huh? That was kind of smart. Huh? but you have to keep it a little bit out of reach. Just when he reaches, it could touch his lip, So he keep walking toward it. He don't realize he done traveled a few miles, and you good. But if you make it where he could just bite it, once he done chewed it up and got full off the damn carrot, hey, he gonna take a nap. Shit. Hey man, this is like what it really is, and the fact that it's funny, we could kind of laugh and make jokes, but it's true. I mean, would you rather pay to see the real deal or pay to see what you're looking at? I don't think that's a tough decision right there.
Yeah, and that's one thing I can say, that they have definitely done this very smart. They have not tried to put nothing on pay-per-view. Oh my God, they might as well just forget about that. Scrap that whole. Whoever bring up pay-per-view in that top stank meeting need to get punched right in their face, like soon as they say it. Say pay per, and then punch them right in the face, because what they putting out now, they could just. It's great. Actually, let me ask you this one, Stormy. Has the crowd been the same size in the top stank events now as it was before? It looked like the same amount of people in there to me.
Well, this is the thing. The events that they've put on have been without a crowd. That's the whole thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
And what they're doing is they put on the screen and the backdrop, friends and family of the fighters and stuff like that on the screen, where they all gathered and bunched in like a living room environment or some kind of room environment where they could put them on camera. And it's usually like 15 people or so, like that, just to give that thing that we watching you, that type of support out there. But I'll tell you something. In a way, with it actually not being a crowd around, the good fighters can focus. They can focus right in. Now, some people say, yeah, we like to hit a crowd. It gets us pumped up and everything. Yeah, that's because that's what you're accustomed to. But what's happening in the gym when you're training and sparring?
But see, OG, I was saying, don't nobody go to them top rank events anyway. They comp all them tickets. They play all them camera angles. This the same shit they was doing before.
Oh, yeah. As far as that. Yeah, I understand. Absolutely. You're 100% correct. Even with the Tyson Fury fights, remember?
What I'm saying. It's been more people in the fights now than I've been seeing in the fights beforehand. Man, you see how many computer generated people that's been in them top rank fights with that camera, man. The cameraman good. Raise.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I cannot argue with that. And yeah, if that's what you were talking about specifically, oh yeah, 100%. That's exactly what was happening way before we got to this point. So, I mean, come on. But I want to take a quick moment and acknowledge my brother, Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens has joined us. What's going on, Reggie? How you doing this evening, bro?
Oh, man, doing good, man. Glad to be out of work and back at the crib and listening in, man.
Yeah. So what are you thinking about tonight's subject? Anything you got to offer? And we talking about rolling out the C-League, top rank, doing their thing. And it's in full effect, man, that they're just giving us these substandard fights. And as Cadillac Red suggested, it was like, this is kind of like what they were doing to us before they brought the sport back, but they brought the sport back even more watered down. So, what do you have on it?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that, man. And I don't think it's from the perspective of them trying to give something back to entertain fans or to do it for the greater good of boxing. It's for this dude, Bob Arum, to find a way to bring money to his pockets. Also, probably to fulfill a contract with ESPN, because in these contracts, there's probably a guaranteed of a certain amount of bouts that have to be put on. And it's the same thing, I think, with Dana White. Having to fulfill these contracts is the reason why they're willing to take these risks during, this health crisis that's going around, where they really don't give a damn. And what they're putting on ain't worth a damn. They doing a poor job when he's supposed to be a promoter. but he ain't promoting ish. People don't know shit about these fighters. You don't see nothing about these fighters. There's no programming for these fighters, and I think that should be one of the moments. There's no basketball currently, no football, baseball. There's nothing but boxing, and they ain't doing nothing to dedicate a specific time slot for when it's these weekends, because they're doing a lot of fights per week, like 2 or 3 fights a week. There should be, I don't watch ESPN, so I don't know if they're doing it, but I haven't heard no one speak on it. But where there should be shows to them speaking on who these fighters are, these fighters giving their little tell of who they are, what they've been through, what their, their mission in the sport of boxing. That's what that should be. It should be a time for kind of profile building, but that costs money to these guys. I believe it's how they look at it, and they don't want to spend time on it. But then they throw guys in the ring, even when they're throwing they're pretty well known. They're more well known fighters. They're putting them in there with 13-13 record fighters, not looking good. Crap like that, man. It's like it's bozo crap, man, and I don't like it. And even speaking on where they're not promoting, it's the same thing. I look at the little small intricate details when I look at how promotions are done. And when you go to look for information, there's a lacking of information. I like looking at billboards to shit, and I look at it with old fights. And if I post it, what are the details? Who's on the card? What's the date? What's the location? Blah, blah, blah. And you don't see a lot of that. You just see promoters putting a face on it, cutting, they're trying to be as cheap as possible, putting it on there and getting it broadcasted out, hopefully to sell it off to people, because they ain't paying these fighters worth a damn. But also, my last thing, an issue may end up deriving from this, and that's going to be an issue of fighters demanding more pay. And that's what you're seeing in the UFC. There's a huge fucking issue going down in the UFC where a lot of these fighters are demanding, they want their money. And even with these fights that are going on, where you're not going to get what you want, is because these fighters want their money. Just like Charlo having the shit on Oscar De La Hoya, because when these fighters, before the pandemic, were being underpaid by these guys, now this unforeseen crisis comes about. Now these fighters are struggling financially because these promoters have been sticking it to them. But that's all I got.
And you brought some great points and interesting perspective on that. That's what it's about, man. That's why we should have these kind of discussions. When you talk about you love the sport, you also have to make them remember why you love the sport and why you support the sport. And if they're not delivering that, then it's not worth supporting. So to be able to clearly and to understandably make your point and state your case, this is what they need to hear. You know what I mean? My brother Kurt Sugar from the Three Wise Men of Boxing has joined us. He's on the panel with us this evening. Good evening, Kurt. How you doing? And what are your thoughts about rolling out the C League, man? What's happening with you?
Well, I don't mean to crash the party. I'll be in and out, but I just had to get my take because the subject is very interesting. Me being older in my mid-50s, 53, I'm used to quality boxing cards and quality fights where, on June 25th, what was it, 1981, in Houston, Texas, you had Pepino Cuevas, Tony Ayala, Tommy Hearns, and Sugar Ray Leonard on the same card. And that's a quality card, having Tommy Hearns fight in the co-main event. And then Sugar Ray Leonard being the main event against Ayub Koluli. Then you had fights like Marvin Hagler, Vito Antuofermo. That was a co-main event on the Sugar Ray Leonard and Roberto Benitez main event. And you had Tommy Hearns once again fighting on a Marvin Hagler's card against James Schuler. James Schuler was an undefeated fighter. One of our best amateur fighters. I believe he was 22-0 with 16 knockouts at the time from Philly. And Marvin Hagler fought John the Beast Mugabe. And the first fight of the night, it was a triple header. It was the very underrated Orlando Canizales versus the champion Richie Sandoval. That was a hell of a fight, and it was a great card, man. That's what it was. It was nothing to have a whole card, and the fights was quality because the opponents was quality. The champion was fighting the number one contender or a top-notch contender that you might have heard of. Like one of the best undercard fights I've ever seen, probably the best, was Rafael Gomez versus Lupe Pintor. That was on the Tommy Hearns and Rafael Benitez card in New Orleans. So, these, it's different times. It's 2020. And they can make these cards. The promoters are who I blame. They don't want to spend the money because they just feel that it's not worth it. But boxing needs these fights. That's why boxing is suffering. And just like Emmanuel Navarrete, last week, 2 weeks ago, he fought a guy that was 13-13, man, that lost 3 fights in a row. And that's disgusting. I think tomorrow, Miguel Burchell is fighting a guy. I don't know if it's the same guy. He's 3-3, I believe. I could be mistaken, but these fights are major turnoffs. It's a bum bash. And I don't know, because of the sign of the times, the promoters, they don't want to put up the cachet to pay top notch opponents. Terrence Crawford can't even get a fight. And that would never happen back in the day. But, it's a shame that boxing and the boxing fan has to suffer. If boxing is in this state and continue to be in this state, it's never going to be a first-tier sport like it used to be. Boxing used to be on the front page of the newspaper, and now it's just completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. Cadillac, you got something else in on this particular way the conversation has swayed? Cadillac, you there? If you're on mute, if you're there. He might have stepped away from his mic for a minute. Hey, so let's move a little bit into the area of where we can see gradual progress to move away from what we feel is not savory, from what they're dishing out so far. What can you guys come up with some ideas of how we can, make suggestions and put it out there that they should consider something of going in a different direction, bringing the sport back, and again, getting more quality fighters in there and paying people properly for what they're doing. So let's move into the discussion of that. Reggie, what do you got to offer on that?
I think my thought is to be more vocal. I think we're having these platforms have been kind of a thorn in the back of a lot of these promoters and these networks who just went about doing what the hell they want. Just putting on some of the wackest things they can put on, saving costs, making certain fighters look like world beaters when they weren't, and having people accept it because they didn't know what they were looking at. And that's the problem in society. A lot of people don't know what they're looking at. A lot of people can see one thing but be told something, and they'll go with what they're being told. And it can be totally nothing that's on camera. And that's the problem, where people aren't thinking for themselves. But with these platforms, people having their voices and speaking on it, these promoters, everyone, all the powers that be are the players that be in the game, listening to it, along with fans listening to it, and get, where the jig is up, they're going to be forced to kind of fall in line with what the people are demanding, because the way they find out about it is through the units per whatever, our viewerships. When they see those numbers constantly going down, then they'll start to wake up. And along with the competition that they are supposed to be facing from the UFC and all this other stuff, they have to get it. And fans have to be vocal about what they want, be more demanding about what they want. And that's turning away from the events, or pulling away from, if you're going to watch the event, don't watch it on the network. Go elsewhere and stream it or pirate it, whatever you do with it. until they start to give you what you demand. The other thing is to start staying in line with these fighters, but not to do it to where we become like fanboys, because then you allow these fighters to do whatever the hell they want. You turn fighters into being prima donna, but being more supportive. Like me, I ain't got no favorite fighter. I don't show favoritism. Even when Lennox Lewis being my favorite fighter, I ain't never show favoritism towards him, but he lived up to what a fucking true champion ass fighter's supposed to be. But when it comes to these things, support these fighters when they're dealing with the BS from these promoters. Promoters not willing to pay these dudes. All these suit types, man. These suit types need to be addressed the same way we deal with fighters that duck. Promoters need to be treated the same way that you treat a fighter who ducks competition, because they are the ones who are effing its game up, because they out here pimping the game. They treat fighters like hoes. They treat fans like hoes. And it's time for people to stop being hoes to a bunch of old punks who wear suits, even the young punk, Eddie Hearn. Stop being hoes to them and allowing them to think they can do whatever in the sport that they want. The sport is already effed up. The same thing with sanctioning bodies. I forgot about them as well. It's time to get rid of all whole activity within the sport and leave it to where it's just about true warriors. Like, matter of fact, I was watching that fight last night the other day, the day before yesterday, with Joe Frazier. And man, I became like a instant fan of Joe fucking Frazier based on what came out of the post fight when he beat Jerry Corey. And we beat Jerry Corey. There was talks with Jimmy Ellis before the fight start. He comes in the ring. It's like it's gonna be a Jimmy Ellis taking on the winner. Following the fight, Joe Frazier like, man, I don't even want to stand next to this dude. He's a chump. He a fake champ. And who they call him for? Muhammad Ali. I liked that shit. But that's all I got on that one.
Boom, mic drop on that one, Reggie. Before I move on to anybody else, I just want to say this while it's fresh. The fact that you said what you said, you called this fight with Frazier and Corey, and you became an instant fan of him. Now, roll back to a comment that Lawrence Williams said earlier in the chat. He said he likes these fights right now because he learns. Brother, you can learn much better if you go back and you look into the history of the sport and see what it was before it arrived where it is, because you will know the difference. Not saying that you don't, and I'm not trying to be insulting, but what I'm actually pointing out is the positiveness about doing this. Here you have Reggie, who has his own platform, just like you and like so many of us and everything, who hadn't had a chance to see a lot of what's going on. So he's taken to calling these fights. Basically, is going back and then reviewing them yourself and with an audience and everything. But what's gratifying is the final points of what you're able to pick up from just doing that alone. It opens up your mind on the sport of boxing and gives you so much more information that makes you have a clearer viewpoint on what you're witnessing today. And you could see it. You understand? There was a time when women dressed sexy but didn't show you all their goodies. Huh? And that was more seductive and temptuous when you saw a woman and you could see a silhouette or something, and you know, she smelled nice and this and that. You got women walking around right now basically in their panties and their bra. Huh? And they want you to respect them. They not even respecting themselves. Really? So it's like going back, getting that information. Now you download it in that great computer of yours, and then you can make an assessment easy at the snap of a finger and a drop of a hat of what you're looking at today and say, oh, that's some bullshit right there. Clearly. Whether it's somebody you like currently or not. Do you know, Boxing 24, I didn't get a chance to finish reading the article. Floyd Mayweather is pissed because they called Sugar Ray Leonard the #1 welterweight, you know, in their ratings or whatever. And he's saying because he lost to Duran, and stuff. And he didn't never have a loss on his record, so he should be better than Sugar Ray Leonard. He ain't fought half the talent that Sugar Ray has fought in his career. What the hell is wrong with that dude? It's fucking ridiculous. When you can come out and you want to try to shit on someone else's accomplishments and legacy of well-accomplished activities in the ring. And you out here picking and choosing, stepping over this guy and going around that corner to fight this dude over there and everything. You never met a challenge head on and said, yeah, the people say I can't do it, and go out there and do it. But you always stayed in the safe lane. And you got the nerve to be mad. Be mad, kiss ass, and be glad. I'm sorry. Is Cadillac back yet? Cadillac, you back? Your mic working, bro?
Yeah, I'm back. Okay,
so you can either pick up from something I said or what was being said by Reggie before that. And I also want to welcome D-Style. We'll bring D-Style in after Cadillac makes his remark. Go ahead, Cadillac.
I agree with Reggie all the way. We got to start sticking it to these people. If we're going to pirate it, if you're going to be on the stream team, I got drafted first round on the stream team. I stream the shit quick. I have no hesitations at all about doing that, especially if you're giving out bad product. I'm not, growing up, I've always been the hustling type. I go get it on my own, but I've never been the type to rob anybody. If you do try to rob me, I will get you out of all of it. And that's how I feel when it comes to the stuff that they doing as far as, in the sport right now. Putting out all this, all the bullshit. As far as you said with Floyd being mad about Sugar Ray Leonard, this is what happens when you think money is going to get you respect. Floyd's learning a valuable lesson that some bitch ass dudes out there that's millionaires. I'm saying it comes with the game. Money just don't, because you got money or you made a whole bunch of money in the sport and you fought, you went the lane you went to make sure you stayed undefeated. Don't mean that everybody gonna respect that. And if someone gonna know the history of the sport and they see who fought and who they fought, and of course you're not gonna be number one on the list, man. You know what I'm saying? You gotta respect the game how it come. That's all I had on it, OG.
Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. And D-Style Boxing, welcome, man. I'm glad you're here. As we've been cooking on rolling out the C-League, we did advance the conversation a little bit, but I would like to roll it back a moment in case you had something to offer, because I know you kind of share similar sentiments on what they've been putting out there for us and telling us boxing is back and everything. So welcome to the show. If you've got something to offer, please come on in with it.
Look, it's very simple. If you're a casual fan, you're watching television, you're looking for some sport. You heard that boxing's back. You're excited. You turn it on. You see a dude that looks like he works at a pizzeria, okay, with a wife beater and grease on his shirt and shit. Okay, versus a guy that looks like a Hell's Angel member that had a little too many beers the night before. You're going to change the channel is what you're going to do. You're going to say, man, boxing really fell off. Damn, we went from the days of Ali to this, and they're going to change the channel and everything you think, people talk about in the media about how boxing's dying or dead, and it's going to confirm that to a lot of individuals that you could potentially have turned towards the sport, to become fans of the sport. And the reality is, no one seems to have the common sense to understand that. No one seems to understand that this is a big opportunity for the future of the sport to build new fans. Because right now there is no competition. There's nothing else on TV. And look, if you can't get the big names to agree to fight a decent opponent, outside of them, fighting some dude batting 500, then don't put them on. Tell them, okay, then you sit down, and we'll just get 2 C-level guys to duke it out or something. Because I don't want to see no mismatches. I don't want to see Navarrete just throw punches in the air because he wants to look busy while he's carrying some dude. I got better shit to do than to watch somebody carry an outmatched opponent because he wants to, quote-unquote, put in rounds. Go do that shit in your fucking gym. They could have called that dude to the gym. He could have been your sparring partner. I don't understand why that crap is on television. Most of the great fights that Top Rank has put on, they ended up being great fights by accident. All right? That's just the way that is. Malone, they were expecting Maloney to, to win on Tuesday. All right? Like, they weren't expecting the upset to happen. So at the end of the day, just do better. Stop being lazy. And yes, it does matter who you start the damn card with. And it does matter who the main event is, but give us a good fight. That's all about that.
Unquestionably, man. I'm with you on that. And we can go from this channel to your channel and say it again and again and again, because that's our cry. We want quality out there. Don't be feeding us no Quaker oats. You know what I mean? Give us the real deal. And let's bring it back to Kurt Sugar, the veteran. And Kurt, what are your sentiments on the fact of you and I, we know like we can use Don King as an example tremendously, that Don put on some of the best fight cards. And yeah, people talk about he took some change from him from time to time, different fighters, different careers or whatever. But he also put people on to fame and notoriety. So there was a kind of an exchange of goods, in that. But he also kept people hungry, and they were on the lean side of things when they didn't fight. So they participated. They fought on these cards, and they did make a buck. So what are your thoughts and recollections of that, and how it applies to what we're not seeing today?
Well, Don King was an old numbers runner for Cleveland. He was in bed with the mob. Don King had a lot of power. He did the way he did Larry Holmes. He paid Larry Holmes out of his pocket and wanted Larry Holmes to fight Roy Williams. Roy Williams had like a Mack truck, and Larry had a broken thumb, hurt hand, something like that. He paid him out of his pocket, threw the money at him. With Ted Witherspoon, he cheated. Of course, Mike Tyson. But Don didn't cheat people who was about their business, because he had so many fighters. But if Don thought you was dumb and he can get over on you, he would. But he had a card in the mid-'90s called the Rematches. I think it was 5 championship fights on one night. 5. And put on some great fights. Boxing today is a trickle-down effect, because there's no face of boxing. Some people say Canelo, some people say Wilder. No, because those guys are nowhere near the popularity of guys like De La Hoya or Sugar Ray Leonard or Mike Tyson. They were global icons, man. And just like the NBA, remember, the commissioner of the NBA, when Greg Popovich, the coach for the San Antonio Spurs, was sitting his stars down and other coaches start doing that, the NBA said, oh, hell no. Our consumer is not going to buy a ticket, and you're going to see the Houston Rockets and James Harden is not playing, and Russell Westbrook or LeBron James is not playing for the Lakers, or Anthony Davis, because it's the star-driven league. Just like boxing needs a star. So the promoters knows this, and he's not going to tell the fans, so they don't have the confidence in these guys being popular, because Mayweather was last of a dying breed, and it took him years to become a star. But people like De La Hoya, he had the female fan base. Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali was, they grew up, before our eyes on TV because of the Olympics and commercials, and they used to be on Phil Donahue's show and Bob Hope special. These was very popular programming on TV. Dean Martin roast. Everybody knew who they were. And I tell people that you want to know a crossover star in boxing, ask a little kid or a woman, do they know this fighter or that fighter? That what tells you. everybody, my grandmother, my mother, everybody knew who Muhammad Ali was. My sister, Mike Tyson. You couldn't even order a pizza on the night of Mike Tyson fight. You know why? Because they were sold out. So my point being, boxing is in need of a star, because one guy can carry the whole sport. It's like a trickle down effect. It just seems like boxing was better. It's not a mistake. Look at the timeline where boxing was great with De La Hoya and Leonard and Mike Tyson. It was great. They shed light on the sport, and Mike Tyson carried this whole sport on his shoulders. But you don't have that today, and that hurts boxing, and it trickled down because the promoter's saying, well, I got some popular fighters. I have a star. Canelo's a star. Wilder's a star. Earl Spencer's a star, but they're not nearly known. There's a big difference between a star and a crossover icon. Manny Pacquiao is on his way out. That's a big part of the problem that, we don't talk about. It's just bad. So now the promoter said, I could put on any fight. I'm just going to throw it on there, and just like D-Style said, when you get a great fight, it's by accident. It's by accident. There's a white fighter from Utah, one of my favorite fighters. He's an action fighter. He's a journeyman. His name is Clay something. What's his last name? He just fought.
Collard.
Collard. There you go. Thank you. Man, I love that dude, Clay Collard. He's a throwback fighter, a fighter I'm used to seeing in the 70s and 80s. He's a throwback fighter. He kind of reminds me of Randy Shields, tough white fighter who turned announcer, who beat Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns as an amateur. But I like the guy, but when I'm surprised when I see a great fight, and it wasn't like that. When I used to go to the closed circuit TV, the movie theaters to see fights, fights like David Tua versus Ike Iabuchi or Tommy Morrison versus Ray Mercer, those fights are gone. See, if this was back in the day, you would have had Virgil Ortiz versus Jaron Ennis. They even talk about that. But they scared to put their guy in there with a guy who's equal. But, and I'm going to finish up by saying I'm a Mayweather guy, but he's nowhere near Sugar Ray Leonard in skill. And some people got the nerve to say Mayweather would beat him. Man, get the hell out of here. That fight would not be close. Ray was too strong, too skilled. What Mayweather has, Leonard has in abundance. He hits much harder, especially with the left hook. He's just as fast, if not faster. He's smarter, and he has a deep reservoir of will to win. And they asked him, how would he fight Mayweather? He said, I wouldn't aim for the chin. He tucks his chin very well. I would aim for the top of the head. Like Madonna hit him in the forehead and hurt Floyd in the second fight. Well, Floyd did a little dance, but he's nowhere Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns. He's nowhere near them guys, man. Them guys will beat Floyd with ease. That's all I have to say.
D-Style, come in with your thoughts on, as we were talking about when you joined the program tonight, we were talking about some of the things that we could do to help push forth the agenda of this is not acceptable, and, lay out your thoughts on things that we can do continuously to try to draw attention to the fact that we don't like what they're serving up, but also what's an alternative to put us on the right track towards getting what we would like to see in the sport. I know Rome wasn't built in a day, but I think even some of us out here in the community who are channel operators and content creators do a disservice to the sport by carrying a bone of some of these promotional groups and playing their game that they put out there instead of making a stronger demand. What do you have on that?
So here's what I'm going to get a big box, and I'm going to pass it around to every boxing fan out there. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to get your pom-poms for whatever promotional company you side with and, ride and die with. And I want you to throw your pom-poms in a damn box here. Okay, so I could take it to the dump and throw them away. That's the first thing we got to do, right? Stop being pro, Top Rank, pro PBC, stop. Be pro sport of boxing. Be that, all right? I think that's number one. We are the demand of the sport. Any healthy economy has supply and demand. We're not the supply, we're the demand. So the first thing boxing fans have to do is demand the best fights. Don't accept any stupid explanations as to why a good fight can happen. Stop explaining and stop being the attorney and that guy that, you guys need to understand boxing is a business, you see. Well, it's not running a really good business because it's failing and it's losing fans. So let's take a step back on the business talk, all right? And let's start talking about what we need to do to improve the sport. That's what we need to start talking about. Start demanding the best fights. Right now, Terence Crawford was offered the Ugas fight, and for whatever reason, the fight didn't happen. And you have some people pointing their fingers at Crawford. Other people pointing their fingers at Ugas. Okay, first of all, let's stop acting like that was our number one fight. Like that's the fight we wanted to see. All right? What we need to do is simply just demand that these guys fight the very best fights. That's what we need to do as boxing fans. That's our job. In recent, and I don't know if it's like a new thing, but I don't remember any of this growing up. Right? But it's this new thing to start, putting your nose in the air and explain to boxing fans why it's a business and you need to understand why would this guy take it. Like now they brag about it. Now they brag about how a guy, can take an easier touch for the same amount of money. Well, why would he take a big risk for such a low reward? I mean, that's dumb. You got Mayweather wondering with that logic why he can't be compared to Sugar Ray Leonard or Sugar Ray Robinson. He's all wondering, I don't get it. I mean, well, why don't I get I was undefeated. Well, yeah, you were undefeated, right? Taking low risk, high reward fights. That's what we have right now. This is what was passed on to us. What was that?
I said, tell the truth and shame the devil, bro. Go
That's
ahead.
right. I mean, this is basically what was left behind, bro. You know that saying that the apple never falls too far from the tree and all that? Well, the guy that carried the sport, the legacy he leaves behind, okay, you will see remnants of that in the next generation. You will see that. So what are we seeing? We're seeing a bunch of dudes scared of losing their O. We're seeing a bunch of dudes that are pricing themselves out, asking for ridiculous paydays, like $10 million paydays to get in the ring or some shit like that. I don't know if you guys remember that's how much money Whitaker offered Chavez for the rematch, $10 million, which was unprecedented back then. Now you got these guys asking for $10 million to fight fucking bums, right?
Exactly.
Now, if you want to look at the legacy Ali left behind. Look at the legacy, Joe Louis left behind. The Ray Leonards, the Durans, the Hearns, they left a good legacy behind. And it carried on to the next generation. Now, well, you have what you have. All right? No, look, Leonard's not innocent. Okay? Like I'm not saying he didn't play some politics. He did, but some of that, again, transferred to the next generation. But now it's to a point where it's completely out of hand. We used to criticize like a guy like Ray Leonard because he asked for a bigger ring to get in the ring with Hagler, right? Yeah. These guys wouldn't even get in the ring with Hagler now. They would put a restraining order on Hagler. You think they would get in the ring with Hagler?
Say it, bro. Say it. I'm just cheerleading you here. Let's go ahead.
I even got a hype man right now.
Yeah.
Right? But No, but you see, you need to understand, they've always played politics in the sport. I mean, look at Ray Leonard. I mean, he gave Hagler more money to get a bigger ring and a 2-pound catch weight. And yeah, guess what? He got in the ring with Hagler.
Yeah.
Oh, but he waited so long. He still got in the ring with Marvelous Hagler. You got guys today, all right? We're having a hard time making Crawford Ugas, for God's sakes. This shouldn't be that difficult to make, bro. Why is that fight so difficult to make?
And everybody knows, just to piggyback on that, and then you can continue. Everybody knows that Ugas is a big welterweight. And Mikey really don't belong in the welterweight division. But he'd rather take a fight against Mikey where he could probably get paid better against Crawford. And you can't make sense of his choice. There's legacy between he and Crawford. He has a victory over him in the amateurs. And it's a fight that some of the fans have claimed they want to see because they want to see Crawford take on a big welterweight who's strong and who they think can be formidable for him. So let's see it, right? And he walks away from that. And he's going to go fight a little guy if they let him, you know. So you're absolutely right with what you're saying. And it's like we were going near the cliff, but we're actually going over the cliff now with those type of approaches to the sport. Like what you just crystallized for us. Ray Leonard asked for a bigger ring, certain kind of gloves, and 12 rounds, and, you know, make sure the weight was this, and I'll get in there with Hagler. And he got those things, and he did get in there, and people were paid, and they were paid well. The stuff that these guys are doing today, they don't even want to get in the ring. You know, you got people like Adrian Broner out there asking for 10 million and I'll come back. And you got a fighter like Regis Prograis that say, I want to fight that dude. But don't nobody want to make the fight happen. But there are guys who will get in there. Adrian Broner don't really want to fight. He don't. So, and he know ain't nobody going to pay him no damn 10 million. So he's actually priced himself out of anything, and he can always say, well, hey, they didn't want to pay me. No, sucker, you didn't want to fight. I'm sorry. Go ahead, D-Style. You cooking, bro.
Look, if I'm very pro-fighter when it comes to fighters, you know, getting their money. I'd rather the fighter get the money than the promoter. Because so I'm not, you know, one of those guys that's anti-fighter or something like that, right? But the key word is fighter, right? I'm a fan of fighters, not social media celebrities, okay? That's not what I'm a fan of. I don't care how many Twitter followers they got, right? I don't care about any of that. Good for them. It helps them with it promoting themselves and getting their name out there. Okay, good. But what are you going to do for me as a fight fan and for the sport that I love, the sport that you're participating in, which was built off the back of a lot of boxing legends? What are you going to do? How are you going to contribute? Because there is a give and take here. And I just see take. I don't see any gives here. All right? The only gives I see is they don't give a fuck. That's the only give I see. But they ain't giving nothing to the sport. Nothing. No contributions to the sport. And then guess what? Some of them are going to, you know, retire undefeated. They're going to have their little zero. They're going to feel really good about themselves. But then we're going to ask, well, you didn't fight this guy. You didn't fight that guy. You didn't fight this other guy. You didn't fight Spence at this time. Okay. You know what I mean? When a guy like Crawford asks, well, it ain't my fault the fights didn't happen. I don't care. You didn't fight them. So we're not going to compare you to the all-time greats. If you don't want, like, you're going to get paid if you go for the path of greatness. You're going to make your money. These motherfuckers are making 7 figures, okay, when they're in big fights. I don't want to hear about they're not getting their money. They're getting their fucking money. So they're getting paid. But they have to want it. It works both ways. It's a two-way street. Yes, of course. You know, look out for yourself, get your money, blah, blah, blah. Cool. But don't start crying like Mayweather in the future when you want to be compared to the all-time greats. I don't want to hear you crying, right? Because this whole time you were doing I want to make the most money possible with the least possible risk. Keep following that formula, right? That Mayweather on camera bragged about doing. He bragged about it. Proudly, right? He even said, he's like, yeah, people call me a coward, but guess what? I'm a rich coward, he said. Well, okay, that's what he said. I'm not making that up, right? Well, at the end of the day, if you want to be compared to the greats, you're going to have to do great things, right? And guess what? When you do great things, I mean, you're going to still make money in the future because people are going to buy your T-shirts and your merchandise and all that stuff. All right. You're more likely to come out in a movie and stuff like that. All right. Your estate's going to be worth more money. Okay. Your brand name's going to be worth more when you become a big name. The Ali estate still makes money till this day. All right. So it's when you build a legacy, something comes with that. Right. So those are my thoughts on that.
Man, I appreciate you saying a lot of the things that I wanted to say as well, but I don't want to put everything out there. I like for other people to express their sentiments. So that's why I gave you the floor to say the things that needed to be said, and really appreciate, you doing so. Don't think you went too far or anything like that. I opened that up for you because I wanted you to cook. Cadillac Red, we ain't heard from you in a minute, bro. What are your thoughts going forward in some of the ways that we can put pressure on getting to the point of boxing where we can see what we would like to see? I know it's a process, but give us some of, your thoughts.
Man, everything D-Style said, oh my God, man.
Right?
Man, look, you can't do me like that, have me come after that, man. That boy was cooking. Damn, D-Style. Because everything he said was like true.
Absolutely.
Like, yo, if you when it comes with stuck home to me is if you follow the path to greatness, we'll get paid. I don't know too many fighters that went the path of greatness and got robbed. It's too many. If you have all them big fights, you're gonna come out, you know what I'm saying, on top as far as your bank account. You put the work in, that depend on, you know what I'm saying, if you come out as far as legacy wise. But so you big fights is what's gonna do it, man. And to me, come back, if us to change it, then the C League is gonna be the C League. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know too much of what they can do, but I just support the big fights. Put your money where your mouth at. You know what I'm saying? The viewership where it belongs when these big fights come up, because they gonna come, and in these bad fights, we'll watch them. Or, you know what I'm saying? Be on the stream team. I think you do enough of that, we'll turn heads, especially now with nothing else on TV, nothing else going on. Your voice get heard a lot more than what it normally would. Promoters could hide how they used, they could hide behind, we had big ticket sales. We had this. The sponsors that they could do that. But see, now it's not too much there to hide from. So I think that's the major thing. Support what you're supposed to be supporting and get rid of all the bullshit. Just bottom line. And everything will turn around, in my opinion.
Yeah, thanks, man, for that. Hey, Reggie, come on in with, I'm going to take it in a different direction now with you. And you know that we have given you tons and tons of credit, particularly on my channel and on the shows that I do, for what you're doing now with calling a lot of the old fights and everything, and kind of just lead us in a different direction conversation wise of what you're discovering just by going back with fights that were 15, 20 years ago, and then further back as you've gone with other fights from the 70s and stuff like that. Give us a little bit of what your observation has become with learning of how the sport has really changed, whether it's the fighters themselves, how the events were presented. You know, I've heard you speak on how you noticed about rules changing and scoring and stuff like that. But how gratifying has it been first for you to go and seek out doing that? Because that's that old adage, study for self-approval, and how it's impacted you. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh man, I get a joy out of this shit, man. I've been enjoying the hell out of going back in time and looking over the sport, because my introduction into boxing has always been on stories I've always heard from elders. I've always had a high regard towards elders from where I'm from. Fighting has always been a part of the environment I come from. So I've always had appreciation. I've always heard of names, may have not seen all their fights, but reviewing these fights takes me back down memory lane of hearing conversation. So while I'm watching it, I'm also in the start of a conversation I'd heard from some old cat in the neighborhood talking about past era boxing and stuff, and it lives in my head as I watch this. So I've been enjoying it. One thing that I enjoy about this is the fan appreciation. The fans seem to really enjoy what the hell they were watching inside the ring, and the fighters seem to take high appreciation into what they were doing, what they were able to display. Because it was really the display. The test of man is really what I see going into these things, not the test of, oh, how much money I'm going to make, because in the pursuit of greatness, the money's going to come with it. And it's a statement that this dude, Israel Adesanya from the UFC made when the question came up about legacy or money. And his response to it was, he came into this thing to be the best. And to be the best is meaning challenging all men who enter the arena, who enter the Terradome, and testing yourself to make sure you can beat everyone that they place in front of you. And along with what comes with that is money and also legacy. And that's what seems to be the order of the day when you look back in the past, is just like I was bringing up Frazier. When they brought Jimmy Ellis in the ring, Frazier was like, I ain't even looking at this dude. I want the dude who was at the top, and that's Muhammad Ali, who they're looking for. And many of these other fighters, that's why they fought each other. All of them fought each other regardless, win, lose, or draw. They got in there, and even if they got demolished, just like speaking of Frazier again, got demolished, went right back in there to fight the same dude who kicked his ass. It was just a test of man. You seen, like people bring up, where they're the true heart of man back there. They weren't too swayed by the money and things. The only unfortunate thing that plagued a lot of those guys was drug use and stuff. But even with that, a lot of these guys will clean up, get inside that ring, and give you hellified fucking fights. Even watching, what is that guy? I've always heard you guys speak of him, and then I go to check him out, Frankie Randall, Chavez fight. And just seeing how in shape a lot of these guys were. On top of dealing with this stuff, but when they cleaned themselves up, got in shape, these guys came out there to perform. And what they came to perform is not only what they were going to reward fans with, but what they wanted to reward themselves with, as being the best, not wanted to be outdone by the other guy over there. And a lot of these dudes didn't lay the fuck down. A lot of them, where I see a lot of these fights where today some of these fights would have been stopped, these guys were not trying to quit, get right back to their feet, to go out there and lay it out on the line against these guys. But just the way the events were laid out, I enjoy the fact that they played homage to a lot of old fighters. I remember early on when we first started doing that, I remember you speaking about back in the day how they paid homage, and old fighters of the past era who may be retired, they come in the ring, they greet both fighters, they get recognized going into these things. And I thought that was the thing that needs to be brought back, is people needs to pay attention to kind of the forefathers, the ones who come before, and add a little highlight to them and appreciation for what they have given us, because they carry the torch that's being passed on. That needs to be done. A lot of the introductions into the ring, I'm kind of played out on the current guys who just get famed off of, let's get ready to rumble. I ain't into none of that shit. I'd rather hear the announcement, introductions, giving a breakdown of who is who. Too much has clouded over the game, where it's too many parts have been presented in front of the game, mainly commentators who try to be bigger than the game, announcer being bigger than the game. I never understood how a motherfucking ring announcer can say, let's get ready to rumble, and he's making more than the fighters fighting that night and shit. That type of shit disgusts me right there, even thinking about that. But just with the heart of these dudes, what they got in this game for, and the way they went about it, man, it was something that I really, really enjoy out of these past era fighters. And you may got a few fighters who kind of carry on that same sentiments as some of these past era fighters. And they could be, they kind of, what people say are a version of, like, they look like old throwback fighters. And those are fighters that you really appreciate in the game. But along with what you're doing, great things, you're proving yourself inside that ring, the money's going to come with it. But you got to put in that hard work. And to me, these guys are skipping over that hard work side of the game. And especially they're being allowed to sidestep putting the hard work with all the synthetic shit they inject in themselves. But other than that, man, I love that. I'm falling in love with the past era and also with the history, man. I've always been a history type person, regardless of what it is. Any type of history, I'm into it. But the history of boxing, watching these old fights, put me into a realm where I'm falling in love with that shit. I'm gonna be where y'all at with this history one day. Watch.
Hey, man, that's why I've already heard the rumblings of them calling you the young historian. So I've heard that, you know. But hey, man, you're doing it the right way, because you, instead of just sitting up watching fight after fight, you're doing it on your channel with an audience, so you guys can have interaction and play and stuff like that. And that's how the knowledge will come. See, like us guys, when you talk about the three wise men of boxing, when we sit up and we talk about the sport like we do, we get chill and goosebumps talking about stuff, because it automatically will take us to a place where we remember something or recall an instance or whatever. And boxing was the subject, but it was like what was happening when that match took place and stuff like that. That's why you can hear someone like Scrapbook and he'll say, man, I was in the second row of this fight, you know, or this or that. Or you can hear Kurt saying, you know, my mom prepared a certain meal or whatever when getting ready, you know, getting prepared for the event and things like that. What you were saying just a moment ago about noticing how when they would call fighters into the ring, introducing them to the audience, some of them may have been just past their career. Some were still active in their career, but it was respect. And you're connecting, you're making a connection from what has happened yesterday, literally, to what's getting ready to happen tonight. You notice that's not happening anymore. And guess what? The fighters of today don't have respect for the fighters of yesterday anymore, because they were not made to pay attention. That guess what? This came and existed before you arrived on the scene. There was somebody out here doing it better than you before you arrived on the scene. You're just what's current. You know, that's why someone like Floyd Mayweather can feel like he feel his panties in a bunch and be, you know, upset that someone actually considers Ray Leonard over him. You know, he never had Ray Leonard come into the ring at his event and shake his hand before the fight, or Tommy Hearns come in before his fight. They fought in his divisions. Where's the respect? And guess what? If he has sent a letter out to them saying, when I fight on the 20th or whatever, I'd be honored if you'd come into the ring, and we just want to pay respect to you, pay homage to you. You don't think those guys would come? But see, that's the mentality of today. And not just for boxing, but across the board in life. We got people out here who live like life began when they arrived on the scene. Get the hell out of here with that selfish thought process. The whole thought of it takes a village to raise a child, that's because the village was there before the child arrived on the scene. And everything that the child absorbs in life, nurturing, comes from that village, that environment. So how can you have a disconnect from what existed before you arrived, okay, and then think that you're all that while you're present? That's ass backwards. And that's why you run into the problems that you run into, because, you know, the blind leading the blind, you don't know what's happening. You have no sense of self or history, and you're just winging it. Well, you're going to fall into cavernous depths of problems when you do that. And in the sport of boxing, to understand that what transpired before you arrived on the scene will help you going forward more than you know. A lot of people don't understand that. But this is why we are here, because we can present it to our listeners and viewers, and we can also speak with the voice of the history, because those fighters meant something. Because we tuned in, didn't we? And so you can't deny that. You can't deny the lineage. You got Anthony Joshua out here disrespecting Lennox Lewis. And Lennox Lewis is such an accomplished former champion that Anthony Joshua can't be a quarter of what Lennox was. And what had Lennox accomplished by 30, which I think Joshua is about 30 now, finally approaching 29, 30. Lennox had accomplished far more than he. But you got the nerve to be disrespectful. Ali, even though he would rib Joe Louis, didn't disrespect Joe Louis. Didn't disrespect Rocky Marciano. Didn't disrespect the fighters who come before him. He'd make jokes and things like that, but he was not disrespectful. And that made a difference. That's called class. But in this era, they've removed the C, because we're seeing this C league crap, and they removed the L. So what you got left is ass. And that's what they act like out here presently. D-Style, you got something?
Like me, look, man, I'm a third generation boxing fan. Both my grandfathers were boxing fans. My dad was a boxing fan. My mom actually hated the sport, but that doesn't matter, you know. But my dad was a boxing fan. I'm a boxing fan. All right. My nephew, boxing fan. You know, so if, you know, and I should sometime in the next 3-4 years or so, when I'm a dad, boxing fan, no matter what, you're going to be a boxing fan, you're kicked out of the house. You know what I mean? But what I'm trying to get at is this sport, like it was passed down to me. I inherited like the love of the sport from when I was a child. And a lot of the experiences I've had of the sport and remembering not just the fights, but the feeling before the fights, the way the community around me was, you know, preparing to watch certain fights, and just the feeling, listening to the radio and just turn on ESPN and, you know, someone would come on, you know, Sports Center and right before, you know, they ended the interview, they would always ask him, who do you have winning tonight? You know, De La Hoya or Whitaker, well, whatever it was, right? I lived through that. I lived through a time when there was a boxing fight, it was the talk of the town. The streets were empty. You know, like when Chavez fought around here, there was no cars in the highway or in the streets. Everybody was indoors watching the fight. And that is not an exaggeration. When there was a big heavyweight title fight, empty. The bars were packed. It was an event. And I'm not exaggerating when I say it felt almost as big as the Super Bowl. We don't have that anymore. All that's gone right now. Even the big fights we have now, you can feel a little bit of buzz, but it feels nothing like the fights felt before. And I remember the detailed stories that my grandfather would give me, that my father would give me. And even in their day, shit felt even bigger. But when it's passed down to you, you could feel that. You have a sense of that. And right now, today, we don't have, we don't have that. And I feel like a lot of new generation boxing fans, and I want as many boxing fans as possible. So if you just started watching 10 years ago or something, nothing wrong with that. Welcome to the sport, okay? But what I'm trying to get at is, I feel like a lot of new age boxing fans don't understand that. Like they literally believe a Mayweather fight was the biggest thing that ever happened in boxing. Oh, it broke all these records. Like, bro, let me tell you something. All right? Yes, Mayweather sold a lot of pay-per-view, but it's back in the day, a closed circuit was just a different animal. Right? I mean, that would take a whole nother video to do and stuff, but just the sport in itself, it was just a whole different animal. When Ali fought, everyone was watching it in the country. When Mayweather fights, right, I would leave the household and there was still people out doing other shit. It wasn't like the thing everybody was watching. A lot of people were doing it, but not everybody. So that's gone. You know what I mean? And this is me remembering this. Boxing had already lost a lot of its lore, a lot of its popularity, even when I was a kid, but it felt a lot bigger then than it feels now. Could you just imagine how it's going to feel 20 years down the line? A lot of you have kids, or when your son is in his 20s, how much of boxing is going to be around? Now, how big is a fight going to feel? Not very big, I got to tell you. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, great offerings there, man. And Reggie, man, this I know you said in the chat it takes decades to become a historian. No, it doesn't. You are already on path, and we call you young historian because you have put in some work. Nobody can take that away from you. If you did nothing else beyond today, tonight, this evening, you've already accrued a body of work that nobody can't take away from you. You understand? That's just like anyone who has put in the work and time on a job or something like that. That can't be taken away. For someone to come and be disrespectful of what you've rolled your sleeves up to do, that shows ignorance. You understand? Every person has value and worth. How minimal or maximum it is determined on what they've invested in. However, what you've invested in is of quality, and that's appreciated. I'm looking back in reverence and saying, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. I'm smart enough to say that because that's what it takes. It takes you getting involved. It takes you to go out and put in that time and effort, and you have a following. So they're coming along that journey with you. So they're becoming historians based on what you do. Do you see the lineage behind your actions and how you've shared and done it with others, and you've created your own network and body? You see, you got people that sit back and talk crap out here in the community that don't know what you know. They may be even more accomplished, as far as numerically and things like that, but not knowledge-wise, because you've put that work in. And that's something nobody can take away from you. That's respect. Hats off. See, and it's ignorant to try to ignore the experience that someone has. Because if it's something that is not in you, that you don't carry, they can absorb and learn. And they'll be better off as a result of it. You made the comments about Joe Frazier and his remarks after that fight with Corey and things like that. See, that is like a gem. You could share that from here on. There's people who didn't know that, And the thing about it is, you went through that process, you got to that point, and then it said it had an impact on you. You said, man, now I forever got something for Frazier now because, what I witnessed. But imagine had you not. That's good stuff. But it was good stuff that you hadn't even been exposed to prior to taking that in. That's all we be talking about. That's why when somebody says the sport is dead, the sport is not dead. There's enough of historical actions that have taken place to keep it thriving and surviving. It's the ignorance of that tries to kill the sport. Tries to kill the sport. And you have to understand that. But as long as I'm alive, I ain't going to let it happen to my beloved sport of boxing. And I don't think a person like yourself or even D-Style here, maybe Cadillac Red, who fell off from us, and Kurt Anderson, who's off also, we're not going to let it stop. That's why we're doing what we do. There's plenty of life. We don't have to talk about the negative aspects that just bring the sport down into a pit of no return. We talk about what's happening with the sport being down, but how it could be lifted up. That's why you hear me say, I asked the question to everybody on the panel. I'm like, hey, what can we do to be more of an impact, to help turn things around or push it in a better direction, a more positive direction? Or we could see something happen to bring the sport to a better place. It's always going to require work and effort, but if we're willing to put that in, somebody, just like we notice what Reggie's doing, somebody will notice what we're doing. And that makes a difference. Otherwise, you might as well shut it all down if it's no interest to you. You got something, Reggie?
Yeah. No, me respond to that comment, man. When I see hate, like hater type stuff, I always tell people sidestep stuff. So that was basically sidestepping that. But when it comes down to being like a historian, it takes time. And I'm trying to get to where y'all at. So I'm like, I got decades worth of work. But to go back and forth and be, no, I don't do that. When I see hater stuff, I let hater stuff flow in the wind and I sidestep it. That's just the way I move. But no, it takes time to get to the level where you guys at, because I got so much to review when it comes to this sport of boxing. There's names that I hear you guys throw out, and I have no knowledge on them. So it takes time for me to pick up on this stuff. Like when I say I want to learn this sport to the level that you guys speak about it, I got time to go over it. And even with me doing that, the other enjoyment that I get out of it is I get to teach both of my kids, because I think defense, even watching through boxing, you learn a level of self-defense. And the first thing you learn when you get into an engagement as a child is you have to learn how to do it from your hands. And I make my kids sit here and watch it. Even though they hate it, they watch it. But the one thing I've seen them grow, or I may yell at them or get in the tone to see how they respond out of it, whether they're going to show a level of fear or they stand up to fight. Because I want my kids to even stand up to where they're not acting afraid, to where, especially with my son, I do this with him. And through mainly him watching boxing, he'll get into his stance, he'll put his guard up in a proper way, and he'll stand up to get ready to fight, like to defend himself if he feels I'm coming at him a certain way. And I enjoy that. And that's the one thing I think he's learning from me watching this sport of boxing, always watching it, and him learning to defend himself. Because the one thing I refuse to have them, either one of them, him or my daughter, walk in this damn house talking about being bullied. And that's the other enjoyment I get out of it. And they get to watch all different styles of fighting. And when they get of a certain age, this is all they're going to talk about. And they'll be able to defend themselves. But no doubt.
Yeah, and the process, going through, like I said, putting in that work, studying for yourself. Isn't it amazing how you can look at people out here? And, let me say thank you for Free Smoke subscribing. We saw the message chime for Free Smoke. Subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you and your subscription. Obviously, we've said some things here on the platform and representing in a manner that makes you want to support us, and I appreciate that very much. Just putting in the work and those efforts, man, it's like I do a little bit, you do a little bit, he does a little bit, he does a little bit. It makes a difference. It really does. One of the things about the principalities in training fighters is that you have to get them to believe in what they're doing. You understand? To have confidence, and that there is something that at the end of the day there's going to benefit them and take them to another level. And there is a process in that. You understand? So it's like, but you're teaching along the way, you're providing information, you're providing data so that they can go forward. That's why I give so much, hard time to poor trainers out here, because the poor trainers aren't preparing the fighters for everything that they need to prepare for. It ain't that just throwing a jab or a punch, or something like that, but being psychologically on par where you need to be, understanding that what's within you, the confidence that may be there or may need to be developed, those type of things. Your character will play a lot into what you face when adversity rises. All of these things are a part of the process. You can't skip any lessons, because that's the loophole for failure. Okay? You have to be prepared and go about your work, but it's a process. I don't care. It's like, remember, you went to school, went to class, you had some teachers that you totally vibe with. You got everything they had to offer. You had other teachers that were not that good, and you just kind of wanted to get through their class, right? But the ones that you vibe with that could help you understand and get the information that you were there for and everything, you'll remember them for the rest of your life. Because there was an exchange there. You heard me mention about an exchange earlier with Don King and fighters. They say he ripped him off and took some change from him, but he made sure he kept them lean and hungry, and they had to fight. But they got notoriety. They got stardom. They got fanfare. They were on TV, things like that. You see? So there is a process, an exchange in life. You just can't grab something for free and think that, oh, I got it and I'm gone. No. Sometimes you have to put something on the line for it. But when you understand that, then you understand what is the value of what you're trying to gain. That's the beginning of knowledge. So, we've had a great conversation this evening, man. This was a wonderful show. This is probably one of the best Friday night chop sessions, man. The subject, rolling out the C-League, and it led to such a wonderful discussion. We got brothers in the chat that were, totally engaged. We picked up subscribers. This was great stuff. And I really appreciate everybody that was on here tonight. Curtis Anderson joined us earlier. Cadillac Red helped kick off the show earlier. He said his laptop died. That's why he fell off. So he got to get it charged up next time he's going to be on. But appreciate those two brothers that was with us. And D-Style and Reggie, you two guys are my boxing brothers out here on the YouTube channel. So, I feel like we're family. Not that the other guys are not. I'm just saying that, I'm glad that you are here with me doing what we do, man. And when I get the chance to be on D-Style's channel, I enjoy that totally. And I'm always supporting Reggie with what he's doing. So you guys want to go ahead and give us some final thoughts as we get ready to close the show out? D-Style, I'll go with you first.
Guys, remember, we're fans. We're not cheerleaders. So nothing wrong with cheering. Once a bell rings, you could cheer for whatever fighter you want. But when it comes to, progressing the sport forward and all that, I think it's important to hold all fighters accountable, even the ones you prefer and like, and, and push and pressure everyone involved in the sport to give us the best possible matchups in every level. Of course, we need A-level big fights and stuff like that, but even though, even the journeymen and the up-and-coming prospects and all, they have a place in the sport. I just wish they would do a better job with how they set up that hierarchy that's supposed to be natural in boxing and all that. But I want to thank you again, Stormy, for having me on. You guys can subscribe to my channel, D-Style Boxing, here on YouTube. Hispanics Causing Panic on Wednesdays. And don't forget to check out Squirrel Style Boxing. And as he talks about Chavez Jr. walking around in heels, purple hair, and I don't even know what the hell you call those little backpacks and all that. It's bizarre, weird, and I don't know what the hell is going on, but you guys can check that out.
Yes, sir. And Reggie, you want to give us some final words, man? Let everybody know where to follow you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, don't tell me that shit that Chavez doing that, man. This can't be the son of that can't be the son of Julio, man. God
There's
damn.
video evidence of it. You can check it out.
Oh man.
Man, the senior may have to go old Yella Junior ass. But damn. But then I'll take that back. That's his son. So he gotta accept him for whatever the hell he becomes. So I'll take that one back. But man, probably about 30 minutes ago, I was going to say, man, we should go on for another hour or so, but I got on here late. I'm like, let me shut my ass up because the show was cooking, man. It was cooking. I was like, because I looked over at the clock in the corner. I'm like, damn, we getting close to that 8 o'clock mark. Like, I was going to say something, but I'm like, no, let me shut up because I jumped on late as hell. But, man, it was definitely a great show. It was rolling, OG. Salute my brother, D-Style, OG Curtis Anderson, Supreme Beast, my brother Cadillac Red, man. Salute to the OG Stormybman. Thanks for having us on here, man. Great show. Even great content, man. Even just speaking of how we just took something, speaking on C-level type fighters, and look how the conversation just grew out of that. And it shows our passion and love for the sport. And it's cool. We ain't just about to accept anything, but it turned into a great conversation, man. And I enjoyed it tremendously. And even sitting back listening to the other brothers speak on the game and their ideals as well. And I want to second what D-Style was saying about not being cheerleaders. And I think that's hypercritical for boxing fans. Even if you're a fan of a fighter, you have to learn to be honest with a fighter that you love. No one is 100% right. Even within our parents ain't 100% right. Our brothers ain't 100% right. Our friends ain't 100% right. So it goes to show, are you a stand-up type person? Me, I'm a stand-up type person because I tell a motherfucker when he wrong, tell him when they ain't shit, and still show love to him. But that's all I got, man. You guys can follow me at Boxing Conversation with Reggie Owens. But yeah, thanks for bringing me on again, OG.
Oh, man, you brothers are always welcome. Matter of fact, if you guys can take extra few minutes after we close out, I'd like to talk to you, offline. But this, man, like I said, this has been one of the best chop sessions because we actually did exactly what the show is about, chopping it up on the sport of boxing. We did have wonderful conversation. A lot grew, like you said, out of the title that we cooked on this, and understand that it's not even about, that same old conversation. It's about the sport, and that's what it's all about, man. And I can't do it without the help of you brothers that, we're on here this evening, because I have to have someone to talk to and engage with. So I really appreciate what you had to offer this evening. And you all brought it, man, slinging. So much to Reggie, ain't even ready to go offline yet. He's ready to still go. So that means you got to save something for next show, man. It's like, we going to be back with it. But I want to say salute to the chat, everybody that was out there listening. If you didn't get a chance to smash the like button yet, please do so. And this has been another Friday Night Chop Session with Stormy B Man, number 68. We are rolling ahead. And, it's called Rolling Out the C-League. And we'll be back next week, same time, with another subject and topic. I got a question out there from Andrew Charles. He's asking, Stormy B Man, am I on Instagram? No, I'm not, but you can catch me here on YouTube on the Stormy B Man channel. I got the email there, in the eye of the storm 4@gmail.com. If you want to drop a message, or you want to exchange some ideas or something, or even if you have an idea for a future show or a topic that you would like us to talk about on here, that's what that's scrolling at the bottom of the screen for. So just know that we're here, and I put everything I can into this show. So, I don't take it lightly. I know it's people all over the world that can hear what we have to say out here, so I try to make it worth the while. All right, so it's been another great show. Peace to everybody. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll catch you next time for Friday Night Chop Session with Stormy B Man. Peace to everybody. Peace.